All right, so the subject at hand is how do you play Screamo guitar? It's a pretty simple genre. It's for boneheads. I am one of those boneheads, and I played in some Screamo bands across my life, and I think I got a couple of things I could share with you about maybe how you would want to start playing Screamo guitar. I mean, first things first, like you're going to want to get yourself a guitar. Like any guitar is probably fine. Yeah, just grab one. It could be, a lot of people like to play Les Paul style guitars. That's a totally acceptable type of guitar to use. You can use single coil too. A lot of people like Tellys. Anything goes. It's pretty much fair game. One thing you might want to pay attention to is like, does the guitar have like pretty low action? How easy is it to, play scales on it? Can you grab tones or anything of that nature? If the action's lower, it's going to be much better for you picking up stuff. In terms of tuning, you probably want to try down tuning. There's like a few different tunings you could try. The one that I'm using right now is like an open tuning that I like to write in, which is extra bonehead. And it's C minor at the moment, but you could drop it down to B, or it could be drop D minor, just in this case C, G, C, G, C, E flat, which is, pretty boneheaded. But you can also try like your sort of like more classic drop D standard, where you just got, D, A, G, D, A, D, G, B, E, right? Or you can drop down the highest string to a half step below above the string below it. And then you got this kind of panic chord. Like I'm playing these panic chords right now, but it's about a fret apart, right? Like if you tune your guitar like that, then you get that same panic chord, and you just get to do like a single finger type thing. So if you're playing a lot of that, it can be really beneficial to tune in that manner as well. All right, let's talk about like specifically playing Screamo. Like how do you do that? Well, it's like pretty open-ended genre. I'm just going to talk about like the touch tones, like what are things that you hear a lot in Screamo songs. Let's get into it, right? Like the first thing you might really hear in a Screamo song, especially during like the intro section, is going to be something like a little bit more melodic a lot of the time. Not always, but it could be something with like more lead tone to it. They could be doing like something like that, right? Or they could be playing, something that's got more like a palm muted. I don't know, right? You want to have something that's got some momentum building to it, and you want to have something that you can sort of add to, I think, as well, in order to make the song sort of have a feeling that it's growing from somewhere. If you're going to write an intro at all, you can also just jump straight into it. You can do a drum fill. You can just hit that big, like right, if you want to, right off the bat, and just have the drums going fucking crazy if you want. Like it's entirely up to you. So these like lead tones like are pretty commonplace. Picking out chords is pretty commonplace. Like you can also like play lower on the strings right down here with your root, and then move up the voicings and strum like something along those lines. Or you can hit that octave. That octave is like super, super important. The octave, right, is when you got one note and then exactly 12 semitones above it, or 8 whole steps, right? The whole scale, so the bottom of the scale up to the top. You'll notice I just played a minor scale because we're playing Screamo. It's all right to play in major sometimes in Screamo. I'm not judging whatsoever. A lot of the time you're going to hear those minor modes. You're going to hear the, which I believe is harmonic minor, and then you got natural minor. There's like lots of weird ones too. Like you got like neighbor tone ones where it's like as well. You can do all sorts of different stuff with the scales. The one thing I guess would advise is that when you're writing a section, like, you want to stick to a specific mode for the most part. Like, repetition is how a riff will end up sounding good to people. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you're playing like the most harmonious thing in the world, but if people hear it again and again and again, they might start to feel like it's a better fit for them harmonically. Like, you could play like, right, and like the individual notes like don't really sound particularly good on their own, but as you repeat it and as you play it faster, things tend to fall more into place. So avoid varying things too much within a phrase. It's a really good idea to, if you're going to do something kind of unusual, do it again. So like in terms of song structure, like you want to have at least probably a couple sections to your song. I think it'll get too repetitive if you play the same thing for maybe more than a minute. So if you want a song to last for at least 2 minutes, you should probably have at least 2 sections. And the more variation you introduce, the better. Maybe the first time you play just the chords, like, and then the second time you add in like. Another strategy you can try if you're trying to write a section is you can take some power chords and intersperse them with more lead tones. You can go like. Something along those lines. Don't be afraid to shy away from this fret, my friends. The one, you want lots of neighbor tones in your writing. And you also want lots of tritones, especially if you're kind of going for maybe a sassier, more of a metalcore vibe. And in terms of where you can get tritones, at least in this tuning, some people consider this playing on the B string, a whole step up from the E string. You got your. Or you can play, all these are power chords, right? So all those are classic tritones, which is diminished from a half step down from a dominant, right? From the power chord, which is oftentimes considered one of the most dissonant intervals. I'm trying to think of what else would be good for people to know. Don't forget about those octaves. And don't forget about cool leads. And that's pretty much Screamo. There's just a lot of hardcore kind of and then your type riffs, and then your octaves. And then, your type of the key is to find a drummer, and when you play drums with Screamo, you want to try and maybe stick more to accenting the rhythm than grooving, unless you're going for more maybe like a touche, a more La Dispute vibe. It really depends on the sound you want. A lot of modern Screamo is maybe a little bit more angular than that, except for the shoegazy stuff, which is sort of in its own category. In terms of bass playing, you've got some roots happening, try not to just play exactly what the guitarist is doing. That's one of the benefits of letting the guitarist play higher up on the neck, because then you can be playing something lower down, something groovy that's not necessarily following the upper harmony directly. It's a complementary lower harmony. That shit always sounds really dope. And then in terms of screaming, you have to scream, and if you don't know how to do that, find someone else who knows how to do that, and or get some vocal lessons. That's also a great idea. Yeah, happy screamoing. I hope that was like really helpful. Maybe it wasn't helpful at all.